Hello and welcome back guys. Today we are going to start new story, My Hero DxD, written by Anthony Tyler 9, so let's begin. Issei woke up that day with the hope that it would be a great one. It hadn't been an easy year for those in Class 2E, especially since he had been sneaking glances at the Kendo Club since he first enrolled in school. His best friends, Matsuda and Motohama, were with him, and he always followed the bro code: never leave a bro in the dark about anything. Sighing heavily, Issei pondered, I really want to know why I continue to be this way. It never helps me with girls. I want to express myself, but it's hard when the girls seem to dislike me for it. After a quick shower, he heard his mother, Issei Hyoudou, calling from upstairs. Issei-chan. I made breakfast. You better be awake. Washing up, Mom. Just give me a few minutes, he replied, receiving a reminder not to take too long. Once dressed, he hoped something exciting would happen this month. Things had been dull lately, especially since the girls had become more aware of his antics with his friends. As he walked down the stairs, he found his parents discussing his behavior. I'm seriously having second thoughts about my actions, Issei blurted out, surprising them. Wait, I thought you enjoyed it, his father, Goro, asked, now serious. I do, but all I get is trouble for it. I just want to show who I am without being judged. It's becoming overwhelming. Maybe I should just stop, Issei admitted. Miki chuckled and hugged her son, assuring him they didn't mean to criticize, she was just glad he was starting to see the consequences of his actions. Mom, I feel like I can't express myself without being seen as the bad guy, Issei said, eating some eggs. Perhaps you should consider stopping your peeping on the Kendo girls. Goro suggested, curious about his son's reaction. Dad, when I tried, you'd think they would cover up better. They don't seem to realize they need to look for openings, Issei replied. Maybe you should talk to the principal about this issue. They might have some advice, Miki suggested, and Issei nodded in agreement. Issei was walking towards school with his friends Matsuda and Motohama. Matsuda, who wore glasses, was shorter than the other two, while Motohama was athletic and bald. These two were Issei's trusted companions, known for their mischievous antics. As he walked, Issei reflected on their friendship, feeling frustrated that they often left him to face the consequences of their actions. Determined to change, he decided to avoid his usual behavior for a day, hoping to surprise everyone at school. Soon, Issei found himself at the principal's office to discuss an issue with the Kendo Club. Upon entering, he was greeted by Mrs. Gremory, a tall woman with brown hair and violet eyes. Hello, Hyoudou-kun. How can I assist you today, she asked. Mrs. Gremory, I'd like to talk about the Kendo Club and how they treat me, Issei replied, sighing. Oh. What seems to be the issue, she inquired, intrigued. Well, my friends and I have been peeping on them, Issei admitted, looking down. But they never seem to block the peephole we use. It makes me wonder if they actually enjoy it. Mrs. Gremory listened attentively. Can you tell me what led you to think this? I've been reflecting on why I show my interest in girls when it only leads to trouble. I often end up taking the blame for my friends. I'm seriously considering dropping my old ways, Issei confessed, meeting her gaze. The perverted Issei of the perverted trio is all an act, she asked, surprised. Yes. I've felt alone for most of my life. My only true friend moved away 10 years ago, and aside from my parents, I don't have anyone who genuinely cares about me, Issei said, staring out the window. I understand. You're feeling down about not being able to attract a girl's interest, she asked, to which Issei nodded. What are you planning to do to change that, she continued. I'm thinking of getting rid of my collection at home. I haven't acted out today at all. All I want is to be acknowledged and to make a genuine friend. I want to show them the real me, the kind-hearted young man who just wants a true friend, Issei said, unaware that his eyes were misty. Continue on your journey to improve yourself. Just don't suppress that part of you completely, it might come out in unexpected ways, Mrs. Gremory advised with a smile, pleased to see him recognizing the need for change. After leaving the office, Issei returned to class, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. Throughout the day, he approached his classes with a newfound enthusiasm that surprised his classmates. Although he found some subjects dull, he enjoyed those where he focused. As he entered his final class, he overheard some girls discussing a strange phenomenon in the sky over Kuo Park. "Did you hear about that weird circle in the sky?" one girl asked. "I know. Do you think it means a storm is coming?" another replied, as Issei took his seat. "Alright class, we will be having a math test today. I hope you're all prepared," the teacher announced cheerfully. Issei couldn't help but smile at her enthusiasm, appreciating her ability to keep things lively. As the class progressed, some students began to whisper about Issei. "Do you think he'll actually do well this time?" one girl wondered. "Don't worry, he'll be back to his old ways by tomorrow," another said dismissively. Frustrated by the constant gossip, Issei finally lost his temper. He stood up simultaneously with the teacher, who was about to speak, and shouted, "Will you just shut up? I don't want to hear you talking about me. Just ask me why I'm acting this way." With that, he stormed out of the classroom, slamming the door behind him. The teacher sighed, "Hold on class, I need to bring him back. Reflect on what just happened as your punishment." She then left the room to find Issei. Issei sat beneath a cherry blossom tree, trying to calm down after a difficult day in class. His teacher, Mrs. Nakamura, approached him with a surprised expression. "So this is where you are. I never thought you'd like this specific tree," she said. "Hey, Mrs. Nakamura," Issei replied, a hint of frustration in his voice. "Wanna tell me why you screamed at your classmates, Hyoudou-kun?" she inquired, placing a comforting hand on his back. Issei sighed, "The one time I actually want to look like a normal person, they all think I'm just going to be the same tomorrow. I know I have my flaws, but they don't need to keep reminding me." His voice carried a hint of draconic growl. "How about you tell me what's going on in your head? I might be able to help," Nakamura suggested. "I've been thinking about why I push women away when I act inappropriately. I know it's not okay, but it feels like my only defense. The last person I really liked moved away, and I miss her. I thought she was a boy when I was younger, but I realize now how foolish I was," Issei admitted, emotions flashing across his face: sadness, anger, and disappointment in himself. "I'm sorry you feel that way. There are plenty of fish in the sea if you're looking for a girlfriend. Maybe you'll find someone soon," Nakamura offered, looking into his eyes. "That won't happen, Mrs. Nakamura. Nobody would like a guy who just stares at women," Issei confessed, feeling defeated. "You really like women, don't you?" she asked gently. "Yeah, I've heard about how captivating they can be," Issei chuckled lightly. "A woman's presence can be powerful, but remember, it can also lead to complications," Nakamura warned, her gaze serious. "Complications?" Issei asked, his tone flat. "How did you know?" she replied, surprised. "It's already been said about me. I took the fall for someone else's actions, and now I'm facing the consequences," Issei said with a sigh. "I hope you can find a way to move past that," Nakamura said, standing up as the sky darkened. "Class is almost over. Would you like to return?" Issei took her hand to get up, and they walked back to the classroom. As he entered, the class fell silent. He gathered his things and sat at his desk, eventually dozing off until the bell rang. As he left the courtyard, Motohama approached him, concerned. "Hey Issei, you haven't been talking to us today. What happened? Remember what happened in middle school?" Issei asked. "Can't say that I do," Motohama replied, looking thoughtful. "I took the blame for you back then, and now I'm facing the consequences," Issei said, a hint of bitterness in his tone. "I already told you I was sorry about that," Motohama replied, a bit defensive. "Motohama, I've trusted you and Matsuda for years, but after everything that happened, I think it's best if we don't talk anymore, Issei said firmly. Turning to Matsuda, he added, I hope you understand. Don't worry, bud. If you feel that way, it's okay, Matsuda said, trying to be supportive. What? You can't just leave us like this. We're the perverted trio. Motohama protested angrily. I've taken the blame for both of you too many times. I just don't want to be that person anymore, Issei said, walking toward Town's park. The perverted trio had now become a duo. Issei entered the park with a heavy heart, seeking solace on a bench. As he sat down, he gazed up at the sky, reflecting on his life. Why does this world seem to hate me so much? I never did anything wrong, I just defended my friends and joined them out of pressure, he sighed. He observed families enjoying their time together, their laughter contrasting with his own feelings of isolation. Suddenly, he noticed something unusual in the sky, a green object descending toward him. Squinting, he realized it was not just a leaf but a person. Wait, is that a person? He exclaimed as the figure landed in the fountain, creating a cloud of dust. Issei shielded his eyes and approached the fountain to investigate. When he arrived, he was taken aback by the sight of a girl lying unconscious in the crater. She had appealing curly green hair and visible injuries on her arms. Issei felt a rush of concern as he noticed she was bleeding. Acting quickly, he tore off his shirt to wrap her ankle and searched for something to cover her. As he worked, he heard her mumble, "Ieri-chan, where are you?" before she fainted again. What happened? Issei wondered, confusion and worry flooding his mind. Meanwhile, Izumi, known as the provisional heroine Deku, was on a mission to rescue a little girl named Eri from a Yakuza base. With the guidance of her mentor, Sir Night-Eye, who could glimpse the future, they had pinpointed the location of Eri, a girl with a unique appearance and a troubled past. Izumi felt a surge of determination, vowing to protect Eri from the abuse she had suffered. As they prepared for the raid, chaos erupted when a large man with a bird mask attacked, forcing the heroes into action. While her comrades engaged the enemy, Izumi, along with several other heroes, rushed inside the base to find Eri. They navigated through the building, with Sir Night-Eye instructing Mirio to slow down the Yakuza leaders. Izumi kicked down a barrier, ready to confront the villains and save the girl in need. When I arrived in the area, I found Mirio-senpai engaged in a fierce battle with Chisaki Kai, known in the underworld as Overhaul. They were locked in combat, and I noticed one of the henchmen aiming a weapon at Eri-chan. I rushed over and quickly incapacitated him, breaking his weapon in the process. After ensuring Eri-chan's safety, I took her to Sir Night-Eye, who had just arrived on the scene. Handing her over, I dashed back to assist my senpai in defeating Overhaul. Midoriya. Sir called out. I turned to see him looking back at me. You are a good successor to All Might. Help Mirio defeat Overhaul. He said proudly. I nodded and took off. Returning to the arena, I found Lemillion and Overhaul still battling, both panting heavily. I made my entrance by landing behind Overhaul and kicking him toward Mirio-senpai, who knocked him to the ground before vanishing. I focused all my attention on Chisaki to prevent him from countering Mirio-senpai. The fight was going well until he managed to gain the upper hand by deforming one of his subordinates. Both Mirio and I sustained injuries, but we pushed the villain to the surface just as Ryukyu landed in the underground arena, having taken out her own opponent. With her help, we were close to defeating Overhaul and sending him to prison. However, during the fight, Overhaul seized the body of the knocked-out villain from Ryukyu and transformed into a giant monster, overpowering everyone except me. He was about to take Eri-chan again, so I wrapped her with Mirio-senpai's cape. Eri-chan activated her quirk, allowing me to use my abilities at full power, despite the toll it took on my body. We fought the massive version of Chisaki, taking to the sky. As he attempted to defeat me, I unleashed one of my most powerful strikes, knocking him out and causing him to revert back to his human form. As I landed with Eri, pain surged through me as the rewind effect began to take its toll. Aizawa-sensei. I cried out in agony. My teacher looked at us as I collapsed, sweating profusely. I managed to catch Eri-chan's head before she could hurt herself. "Don't worry, Eri-chan, I will make sure that you're okay," I reassured her, just as I heard a voice nearby. "All right. Time to get Izumi-chi and take her to Tamura-kun," Himiko called out, lifting me off the ground. I kicked her away, but I was too exhausted to fight back. Despite my efforts, she continued her relentless assault. I stumbled, tripped on the crater behind me, and fell forward just as Himiko landed an elbow to the back of my neck, knocking me out. Well, that took longer than I thought. "Don't worry, Tamura-kun will make sure that you stay safe, Izumi-chi," Himiko said cheerfully. As I fell into unconsciousness, I felt something wrap around me and Eri. Izumi was fighting the villain known as Toga with all her strength, despite her exhaustion. I was supporting Eraserhead Sensei when he urged me to help Izumi. I rushed over just in time to see Izumi get knocked out by an elbow to the back of her neck. I sprinted faster when I saw Himiko dragging her away, talking about Tamura Shigaraki protecting her. Just as I reached out to grab Izumi's hand, a portal appeared, similar to Kurogiri's, and they vanished without a trace. "Izumi!" I screamed, realizing my best friend had been kidnapped. I slowly woke up, sensing something was wrong. I felt around for Eri-chan but couldn't find her, and my heart sank. Had Chisaki managed to wake up and take her again? As I drifted through the portal, I noticed movement on the other side and felt myself falling toward it. "Shoot! Shoot, shoot, shoot!" I exclaimed as I fell through the portal with a loud pop. Looking back, I saw the portal had disappeared, leaving me unable to return home. I couldn't use another quirk to slow my descent, so I focused on hoping Eri-chan was safe. As I fell rapidly, I noticed movement on the ground below. "I hope I don't hurt you when I land," I said as I hit the ground hard, creating a large dust cloud. I was in pain and unable to move, still exhausted from my fight with Overhaul. As I looked around, I saw movement in the smoke and tried to get up, but my body wouldn't cooperate. "Guess I'm just that tired," I murmured. Soon, a concerned young man with brown hair and amber eyes appeared. "Hey, are you all right?" he asked. The last thing I could say before losing consciousness was, "Eri-chan." A few days passed since Issei had found the girl by the fountain in the park and brought her to his home. His parents, having never seen her before, assumed he was adopting her as his girlfriend. Issei watched over her as she slept in his mother's spare bedroom, her tossing and turning gradually calming down as he placed his hand over hers. After a moment, he stepped out of the room to find his parents looking at him expectantly. "What do you want to know?" he asked. "How did that girl get hurt like that?" Goro, his father, asked with concern. "I don't know, but she had those injuries before landing in the fountain," Issei replied. "Do you know her name at least?" Miki, his mother, asked, worry etched on her face. "No, she only said one word, Eri-chan," Issei said, noting the alarm in his parents' expressions. "Is that her sister or daughter?" Goro wondered aloud. His parents began pacing the room, trying to solve the mystery. Suddenly, a crash echoed from upstairs, prompting them to rush back into the room. They found the girl on the ground, looking around in a panic. "Hey! You're safe. Just calm down," Issei said, trying to reassure her as she looked at him, breathing heavily. Where am I?" "And who are you?" she asked, her eyes darting around. "My name is Issei Hyoudou, and these are my parents," he introduced himself as his parents followed suit. "I'm Goro Hyoudou, the man of the house," his father said. "I'm Miki Hyoudou, Issei's mom," his mother added, her gaze softening as she looked at the girl. "And my name is Izumi Midoriya," the girl stammered. "Where are you from?" Goro asked. I live in Mizutofu, Japan. I was on a raid in a Yakuza base in downtown Mizutofu," Izumi explained. "What do you mean?" "There is no Mizutofu here, we only have Kuo Town, Okinawa, Kyoto, Tokyo, Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and Matsuyama," Miki said, her concern deepening. Wait till there is no city named Mmuzotofu. Izumi asked, anxiety creeping into her voice. Yeah, we don't have a city or district called that, Issei confirmed, noticing the worry in her eyes. What year is it? She asked, her concern growing. It's 2016, and we haven't had a third world war yet, Issei replied, sensing that something was off. Does this place have superpowers? She asked, her question surprising them. No, I think that would be cool, but nobody has superpowers, Goro said, finding her claims hard to believe. Issei, I think she might be confused, his father whispered. I'm in the past, Izumi began to mutter to herself. Hey, are you okay? Issei asked, genuinely concerned. Oh. Sorry, I just mutter sometimes. Is there something I can do for whoever saved me? Izumi asked. Well, would you like to stay here? Issei offered. Why, you wouldn't mind if I stayed with you? She asked, her voice filled with hope. Don't worry, our son has been changing himself to get a girlfriend. He even got rid of his old magazines, Goro teased, smirking at Issei. Old magazines? What is that? Izumi asked, her naivety evident. Don't worry about it. Just make sure you don't become like our son did when he was younger, Miki added, playfully dissing Issei. Mom! Issei exclaimed. Izumi looked at Issei with a hint of sadness in her smile, realizing this was what a family should feel like. So, have any of you seen a little girl with silverish blue hair and ruby red eyes? She asked, her expression turning serious. No, I haven't seen anyone like that. Maybe we could help you search for her, Issei suggested. Don't worry, I was just asking. I think I was brought here with her. It's probably nothing, Izumi said, looking away, her thoughts drifting to her missing friend. Eri-chan, please be safe. I don't want to lose you, especially since you are the only one who looked at me like I was a hero, she thought. Meanwhile, near the old school building of Kuo Academy, a red-headed princess of devils looked at a little girl with a horn on her head. What's your name, little one? She asked, her excitement palpable. And my name is Eri, the girl replied, looking frightened. Don't worry, Eri-chan, Rias Wani-san will protect you. Rias said, smiling warmly as she took the little girl to her room for comfort and care, her mind racing with questions about the girl's horn. Alright, Izumi, you will need to go to school. What grade were you in from your world? Issei asked her. I was about to start my second year, even though I'm 16, Izumi replied as she donned the female Kuo Academy uniform. When you enter the school, keep an eye on your surroundings. Most of the school is filled with boys who might not have the best intentions, Issei warned. Wouldn't you fall into that category? Izumi asked innocently. Nope, I won't do anything like that since you're new. Just make sure you avoid any gatherings that might not be good for you, Issei advised. Oh okay, how do I look? Izumi asked, stepping out of her room. Issei looked at her in the uniform and could only think of one word, appealing. Izumi blushed at his compliment and playfully smacked him on the head before running off to the kitchen. Ow! What the heck, he called out, chasing after her. Izumi and Issei were walking to school when two boys approached them. One of the boys, who was bald, asked, Hey Issei, I know you wanted us to not be friends anymore, but could we just be acquaintances? Issei replied, Sure, just make sure you don't go after Izumi, she's new here. The boy smirked and said, Got it, buddy. I'll steer clear of her and tell Motohama to do the same. He then ran off. Curious, Izumi asked, what was that about? Issei reassured her, don't worry, he was one of the perverted duo now. When Izumi inquired about the third member, Issei blushed and pointed to himself. Oh, okay. Well, that's not the worst thing I've ever heard, she mumbled. As they walked through the school, Issei showed her around, smiling at how adorable she looked while mumbling. He quickly looked away, leading her to their next class, which was ironically the same as his. Once seated, Issei waited for the teacher to introduce the new student. "Alright class, I know you're eager to start, but we have a new student joining us today." She entered the school with Hyoudou-kun, the teacher announced. Izumi entered the classroom, greeted by cheers from her classmates. Approaching the chalkboard, she wrote her name and nervously introduced herself, Hi. My name is Izumi Midoriya. And nice to meet you. As she bowed, she inadvertently revealed a bit more than she intended, causing the class to erupt in excitement, exclaiming, "Protect this little maiden." Embarrassed, Izumi took her seat next to Issei, who smirked at her, teasingly showing her an image of her stuttering during her introduction. Flustered, she tried to focus on the lesson. At lunchtime, Izumi and Issei headed to the cafeteria to get their food. They found a spot outside under a cherry blossom tree to eat in silence. Izumi broke the quiet, asking, "Have you ever worked out, Hyoudou-san?" "I did a little in middle school, but after I became a pervert, I stopped training. However, if you want, I can train with you in the mornings," Issei offered, looking at her earnestly. "Sure. I've wanted a training partner for a while. One for All hasn't contacted me in some time," Izumi replied. Issei suggested, "If it's hard for you to find, try to feel for the power you once felt. I know it sounds strange, especially since you come from a world with superheroes, but maybe it's something like that." Izumi nodded, promising to try at home. Meanwhile, from a window above, a red-haired woman watched them fondly, particularly Issei, as she had never seen Izumi before. "Akino, who are those two?" she asked. "The two underneath your window." Akino replied. "Yes. Those two are second years, Issei Hyoudou and Izumi Midoriya. One has been here since last year, and the other just appeared. Though, if you misread her name, it could be read as either Dikairu or Deku," Akino explained, observing her MSTR closely. "Wait, did you say Deku?" a young voice asked, sounding concerned. "Yes, Eri." "Why?" the red-haired woman inquired. Izumi and Issei were leaving their final class of the day, heading home together. Izumi had grown fond of the small town and was slowly getting used to it. As they walked down the street, she noticed some movement behind them and instinctively pulled Issei towards their home, feeling an unsettling presence. "Are you okay? You really pulled me back to the house quickly," Issei said, concern evident in his voice. "It's just my instincts. I sensed someone who might want to harm us, and I wanted to get you home safely," Izumi replied, avoiding his gaze as she felt his hand squeeze hers. "Thanks for the help, but I can handle myself," he said, ruffling her hair playfully. Izumi shot him a deadpan look, prompting him to step back and look away. "Okay, I won't do that again," Issei said, but Izumi mumbled under her breath, "I didn't want you to stop." He caught her words and, reaching back over her head, began to rub her hair again. She leaned into the touch, feeling comforted. "You seem like you could use some affection. What happened in your world to make you this way?" Issei asked gently. "My mom passed away when I was 4, and my best friend turned into my worst bully. I had to live with him, and he claimed it was all in the name of love, which I think is ridiculous. He showed his true colors in high school by cheating on me with my friend, who didn't betray me but suffered because of him," Izumi shared, sitting on Issei's bed. "Even though I'm not a pervert, I hope to have a HRM one day. If you wanted to be part of it, I promise I would never betray you like your childhood friend did," Issei said with a smile. "You should get some sleep, Baka," Izumi replied, holding back tears as she headed to her room. Issei watched her leave, captivated by her presence. "Ah, our son has a crush on the new girl in town." Goro and Miki teased, causing Issei to blush deeply. "What are you talking about?" he yelled, rushing to his room. "I can't wait for grandbabies," Miki called out, making Izumi blush as she heard from her room. "Mom, I really miss you. I need your guidance," Izumi whispered to herself as she lay on her bed. Later that night, while the house was asleep, Issei was finishing some late-night homework when he heard a knock on his bedroom door. "Come in," he whispered. The door opened to reveal Izumi standing there, with her pillow in hand. "Can I sleep in your bed? I had a nightmare about my world," she asked, her voice trembling. "Of course. Do you want me to sleep on the bed or the floor?" Issei replied. "You can sleep next to me," she said, rubbing her eyes and blushing slightly. "All right, get on the bed, and I'll finish my homework," Issei said. Izumi nodded and lay down, pulling the covers over herself. As she settled in, she caught a familiar scent from the blankets, and her eyes seemed to sharpen unexpectedly, allowing her to see clearly. Unbeknownst to her, during her arrival in this world, she had encountered Great Red, who had given her a portion of his blood, awakening a latent power within her. As Issei finished his homework and lay next to her, Izumi felt a strange warmth and safety in his embrace. She melted into the hug, feeling comfortable and secure, not realizing how close they were. The next morning, if Issei's mother had seen Izumi sleeping peacefully beside her son, she would have kept it to herself, amused by how quickly kids formed bonds. "Kids sure make their relationships fast," Miki chuckled softly, closing the door behind her. Izumi was walking towards the school with Issei during the third week of her time there. She had developed a sense that someone was watching them, a feeling rooted in her past experiences of always needing to be cautious. Her mission was to find Eri-chan, who had been lost, and she had promised to protect her. As she and Issei grew closer, Izumi found herself reflecting on her feelings for him, wondering if it was similar to how Uraraka-chan felt when she asked Izumi to be her girlfriend. After changing into her gym uniform, Izumi teamed up with Issei for their PE class activities. They were participating in trust exercises, where partners had to rely on each other to catch them if they fell. The next activity involved a running race with their legs tied together, requiring teamwork to succeed. Izumi, well trained from her heroine training, encouraged Issei to improve his stamina for the challenge. When it was their turn, they managed to secure second place, despite being knocked down by another team that was envious of their bond. Later in the day, Izumi sensed a presence nearby that felt warm and loving. Turning around, she was surprised to see a girl with a noticeable horn on her head, slightly taller than herself. "Deku-chan," the girl exclaimed, jumping forward to hug Izumi tightly. What?" Izumi managed to say, startled. The girl stepped back, introducing herself as Eri. "Eri-chan?" Izumi asked, tears welling in her eyes. Eri confirmed her identity and expressed her relief that Izumi was okay. Overcome with emotion, Izumi hugged Eri tightly, crying as she feared she might have lost her forever. As Eri began to cry as well, a small group of people approached, one of whom was a woman with red hair and teal eyes. "Well, you are the one she called Deku-chan. I never knew you were a hero to her," the woman smirked. Izumi, protective of Eri and Issei, positioned herself in front of them. Unbeknownst to her, her eyes began to take on a fierce appearance, and a powerful aura surrounded her, manifesting as several spirits appeared behind her, creating an intimidating scene. Izumi, who are they?" Issei asked, concerned. Izumi, blushing, quickly hid her aura and replied, "Don't ask right now. I will explain later." "Eri, what happened to you? I thought you were supposed to be 7 years old." Eri explained that she had been sent back a few years before, and when asked how long ago, she revealed it was about 8 years. Izumi was shocked and worried, asking Eri if she knew how to smile. Eri responded with a bright smile, causing Izumi to tear up again. Just then, the red-haired girl interrupted, clearly annoyed at not being the focus of attention. "I'm sorry for interrupting, but can you please tell me what just happened?" Issei began to respond, but Izumi placed a hand over his mouth. "Talk later, when there aren't so many prying eyes," she said, leading Eri and Issei away from the crowd. As they left, a black-haired woman smirked and commented, "Well, that could have gone better." The red-haired girl, Rias, insisted that she needed to recruit Izumi and Issei, sensing a powerful aura from Izumi that seemed to protect Issei, leading to a playful argument between them. "Why are we at Issei's house?" "I live with the president of the Occult Research Club," Eri said, not amused. "I don't want you too near either of them," Izumi replied, staring out the window, hoping they were safe. "What are you talking about?" "Rias Wani-san was nice to me," Eri exclaimed. "Did she ask you to do anything for her when she saved you?" Izumi asked, her concern growing. "Yeah, she asked me to join her peerage." "Is that a bad thing?" Eri inquired. "Peerage? What's that?" Izumi and Issei asked in unison. "Well, a peerage is a group of devils that are kind of like a chessboard. Rias is the king, Akino-san is the queen, Kaneko-chan is the rook, and Kiba is the knight." "Oh. I am the bishop piece," Eri explained, while Izumi looked horrified. "And no. Did they influence your mind with inappropriate thoughts, Eri-chan?" Izumi asked, now extremely worried. "What thoughts?" Eri replied, confused. "Okay, thank goodness they didn't take away your innocence." Izumi sighed in relief. "What do you mean by that?" Eri asked, concerned. "Eri-chan, devils are the embodiments of the 7 deadly sins. There is greed, sloth, wrath, envy, gluttony, lust, and finally pride. Each of the demons in hell personify one of those traits. And most of them just want to indulge in their desires," Izumi explained, her face reddening as she struggled to finish her sentence. "Basically, Eri-chan, some devils in hell just want to pursue their desires endlessly," Issei added, smirking at a deflating Izumi as she began to tear up. "If you're worried about that, then I haven't met anyone like that. The only one I think is even close is Hikage Astaroth, but even then, she has her own preferences and doesn't go after women," Eri reassured them. "Okay, Eri-chan, I believe you. But promise me you'll tell me if someone tries anything against you that you don't want, right?" Izumi asked. "Yes, I will. I haven't encountered anyone with those intentions yet, but I will keep you informed," Eri said, smiling sadly. "Alright, why did Rias want to talk to us?" Izumi asked, getting to the point. "Rias was looking for prospects for her peerage. She really needs strong pieces for her upcoming fight with Riser-san. He is quite the character and only sees Rias Wani-san as a trophy to show off," Eri explained, as Izumi stared at her in shock. "She hasn't considered training herself to be strong enough to defend her own honor?" Izumi asked incredulously. "No, from what I gather, she believes she can defeat him with her power alone, along with strong allies to support her," Eri replied, looking at Izumi and Issei. "If she wanted help, she should learn to stand up for herself. But Issei and I will not be joining her peerage. I want us to remain human and not be part of the supernatural world," Izumi stated, as Issei smiled at her. "I have to stay human for one of my childhood friends. One was with the church, and she has always been by my side since we were kids, but I don't remember the other one," Issei said, glancing at Eri. Eri thought to herself, well, that plan is settled. I don't have to worry about Rias forcing them into anything now. She recalled her conversation with Rias, where Rias had asked her to convince Izumi and Issei to join her peerage to secure her own safety from an unwanted marriage. Eri stood up from her seat as Izumi looked at her. "I will be heading home now. I hope you both have a good night, Deku-san. See you at school tomorrow," Eri said, leaving the room. As soon as Eri left, Izumi turned to Issei, who was staring at her in shock, a smile on his face. "I never knew you could take the initiative like that," he remarked, smirking. "Shut up," Izumi retorted, playfully punching his shoulder. "OW," he cried out, falling to the ground. "Sorry," Izumi said, fretting over Issei's injury. Not far from their location, a winged woman observed the scene with anger and jealousy. "I wanted to confront him myself, but if she insists on getting in my way, I might as well take care of them both," the woman said angrily before flying off. Issei was walking around the school with Izumi, noticing the glances they received from some of the other students. He felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as he considered the possibility of Izumi joining his HRM idea, especially since they were alone now. Sitting next to her, he laid his head on her lap and looked up at her face, admiring her adorable freckles. Izumi played with Issei's hair and asked, "So, what are you thinking about?" "You," he replied, causing her to blush. "What about me?" she asked, curiosity evident in her voice. "Well, if you could calm down a bit, I was hoping you might consider joining my HRM," Issei said. Izumi's cheeks turned even redder as she mumbled something under her breath. "What did you say?" he asked, enjoying the warmth of her touch. I said, maybe," she replied, looking away shyly while continuing to play with his hair. "If you want to be part of my HRM, you'd be the first one, and all the other girls would have to get past you to join. You'd be in charge of who joins," Issei explained. Izumi stared at him in shock. "Why, you'd actually give me the right to oversee who joins the HRM?" she asked, confused. "Yup. You're the first girl I've ever fallen in love with," he admitted, smiling at her. Izumi playfully smacked his head, saying, "You don't have to be so blunt. I never really thought much about myself in that way. Nobody ever pointed it out except for a classmate who made me uncomfortable." "Well, at least I'm more tolerable than him, right?" Issei asked, making her laugh a little. "You definitely are. I don't know how I fell in love with you so quickly," she said, smiling at him. Izumi thought to herself about her past feelings for someone else and how Issei had given her the attention she had always wanted. "Hey, Issei," she asked, looking into his eyes. "Yeah," he replied. Do you think I could be your first girlfriend?" she asked, blushing. "Sure. I've never had a girlfriend before either, so this would be new for both of us," Issei said with a happy smile. Before he could say more, Izumi closed the distance between them and kissed him, leaving him momentarily speechless. Izumi and Issei were walking home, excited to share their relationship with the rest of the school. As they passed a small bridge over the river in Kuo, they noticed someone walking behind them who called out to Issei. "Are you Issei Hyoudou?" the girl asked, prompting them to turn around. "Yes, I am Issei Hyoudou," he replied, feeling a strange presence in his mind. A masculine voice warned him, urging caution. "Good, are you seeing anyone?" she inquired. "Yeah, in fact, I'm seeing Izumi here right now. We were about to go out on a date later," Issei stated, noticing Izumi's blush and protective stance beside him. "Oh, well, could I go out with you on Sunday?" the girl asked. Issei felt a twinge of suspicion, mirrored by Izumi's expression. "Sure thing, but can I have your name first?" "I don't know you personally," he responded, feeling Izumi lean into him. "Oh. Sorry about that, my name is Yuuma Amano. Nice to meet you. I will see you on Sunday, Issei-kun," she said before running off. "That was dangerous, Issei. Why are you allowing her to get that close to you?" Izumi asked, concern evident in her voice. "What did you sense from her?" Issei inquired as they resumed their walk home, deciding against their date for the night. "I felt a huge amount of malicious intent directed at you. I have a feeling she might try to harm you during your date," Izumi replied. "Heaven's evening gaze. Sounds suspicious to me." Issei smiled at her, reminded of why he loved her. "This is why I love you so much, Izumi." Sorry about that, but can you tell me what that voice was?" she asked, looking at him intently. "What voice are you talking about?" "I don't know what you mean," Issei replied, a hint of worry in his tone. "I know you heard that masculine voice, Issei. He seemed to be warning you about that girl. I think he called her a fallen angel." Izumi said, puzzled. "Wait, you actually heard that?" Issei asked, surprised. "Yes, I heard it. I think it's because of this new feeling I have around you, the urge to protect you," she explained, sitting down on Issei's bed as they continued their conversation. The voice returned, addressing Issei directly. And you'd be right about that, you discount Drake. Drake. What are you talking about? Izumi asked, confused. This will be a lot easier then. When you entered this world, what was the first thing you saw? The voice continued, and a jade-green orb appeared on Issei's left hand. When I first arrived here I remember seeing a vast area of nothing, filled with colors. It felt like space, but much larger, almost crushing, Izumi recalled. Then there was no other reason for what I am about to tell you both. Izumi Midoriya was transformed into a dragon by Great Red, the voice declared. Who's Great Red? Issei asked, bewildered. Great Red is the most powerful being in the known world, possibly even the universe. The only being on par with his power is Trihexa, but that monster was sealed away by God. Other than that, your girlfriend is a dragon, Issei Hyoudou, the voice explained. I am a dragon. Why can't I transform into one? Izumi asked, concerned. That is because you don't know how to do that yet. Give it some time, and I will assist you both in becoming the proper dragons you are destined to be. Issei Hyoudou, you have awakened me and managed to get me to talk to you. Congratulations, you might survive a night with that fallen angel, the voice said. What is your name? We can't keep calling you Dragon-san, Izumi suggested. I am the Welsh Dragon of Domination. Draig Wygotch. And I am the Heavenly Dragon of Domination, the voice introduced itself. Well, I can at least get used to your voice. It sounds almost like All Might's, Izumi chuckled. I don't know who this All Might is, but he sounds like a good guy, Issei smirked. Don't get ahead of yourselves just yet. The one who holds the most power here is Izumi Midoriya. Her training as a heroine in another world has transferred her power to this new body. She wields strength on par with a high-tier dragon, almost ultimate class for devils, Draig explained, causing Izumi to realize the extent of her abilities. Well, my date with Yuuma Amano is tomorrow. Should we prepare for something, Draig? Issei asked. Glad to know you are asking for my opinion, partner. Your strength should be on par with that fallen's power. If you train early in the morning, you should be slightly stronger than her. It would be a close fight if it comes to that, and I am sure your girlfriend would come to your rescue if you were in danger, Draig replied, as Izumi nodded in agreement. Let's get this started then. Issei said, sharing a confident smile with Izumi. Draig thought to himself, I think I might like these two. Issei stood in the middle of the sidewalk, waiting for Yuuma to arrive. When he received a paper from a mysterious woman, he felt a sense of suspicion. Draig, his inner dragon, warned him, reminding him that the sigil on the paper was associated with the Gremory household. Issei recalled Izumi's voice through the earpiece she had given him. I think Rias Gremory is behind this. She might be trying to ensure your downfall so she can recruit you. I'm at Koho Park, waiting for your date to end, she said with a smirk. As Yuuma approached, Issei noted her outfit, which seemed designed to enhance her appeal. Draig cautioned him that she was likely trying to embarrass him. Despite the tension, Issei found himself enjoying the date, having even bought Yuuma a gift out of kindness. When Yuuma pulled away and prepared to ask him something, he braced himself for a confrontation. Issei, could I ask you something to commemorate our date? She inquired. Issei, feeling a bit uneasy, replied, sure. What is it? Suddenly, she was right in front of him, her expression serious. Would you die for me? She asked. Issei was taken aback, thinking to himself that this was an unusual way to end a date. I am sorry, what did you say? I didn't hear that correctly, he stammered, subtly increasing his power. I said, would you die for me? Yuuma shouted, transforming into a taller, more intimidating figure. Issei was shocked but managed to respond, seriously, if I didn't already have a girlfriend, I would be in a different situation right now. Yuuma, or rather Raynare as she revealed herself, was surprised by Issei's lack of fear. Why aren't you scared? You're human, right? You should be beneath me, she exclaimed, launching a red spear of light at him. Issei dodged and retaliated, activating his sacred gear, which had already evolved. Raynare's fear was evident as she realized the power he wielded. What is your real name? I haven't gotten that at least, Issei taunted while landing a powerful punch. My name is Raynare. I am more powerful than you, she declared, attacking with more spears of light. Issei skillfully dodged and countered, landing a solid hit that sent her crashing to the ground. As Raynare groaned in pain, Issei approached, charging a powerful blast in his hand. You know, had you not had malicious intent, I might have thought you could be a great girlfriend. But now, you've ruined it, he said, just as Raynare launched one final spear. The two attacks collided, resulting in Issei getting injured but still managing to defeat her. Izumi rushed towards him, having broken through the barrier Raynare had created. Seeing Issei hurt, she quickly followed Draig's instructions to heal him. Teleporting them back to his home, she began using her powers to transform Issei into a dragon while healing him. As his amber eyes shifted, he noticed the boosted gear remained on his hand. In a moment of mischief, Issei smirked and reached out towards Izumi. When he unexpectedly touched her, she blushed deeply, letting out a surprised sound that caught both Issei and Draig off guard. What was that? Issei asked, his face turning red as well. Draig echoed his confusion, concerned about the situation. Izumi, flustered, stammered, It surprised me when he did that also, I kind of liked it. This revelation left Issei and Draig in shock, both exclaiming, Are you a MSCST? Izumi's face turned an even deeper shade of red at their reactions. Izumi woke up on Issei's bed, feeling his arms wrapped around her as he held her close. Blushing, she carefully slipped out of bed and made her way to the shower. As she washed herself, she noticed something unusual about her body. She felt extremely sensitive and realized that her figure seemed different than usual. Concerned, she reached out to the vestiges of One for All for answers, but they were just as puzzled as she was. A sense of longing washed over her, though she couldn't quite identify what it was. Later that morning, Issei emerged from his bedroom and caught sight of her in a towel, which left little to the imagination. He stepped closer, and she found herself pressed against the wall as he leaned in, his breath warm against her skin. A shiver ran through her as he wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her closer. In that moment, she felt a strange comfort in his touch. However, he mumbled something about it not being the right time, and then he headed to the bathroom for his shower. Once Issei was out of sight, Izumi closed her bedroom door and sank to the floor, overwhelmed by her emotions and the confusion of the morning. She had plans to meet with the Gremory peerage to discuss their earlier encounter involving a devil sigil. Izumi was aware of the supernatural world due to her quirk, One for All, which had revealed its existence to her. The realization that every faction in this world was rooted in mythology was both fascinating and daunting. After changing her clothes, she joined Issei's mother in the kitchen to prepare breakfast while Issei got ready for school upstairs. Eventually, Issei made his way downstairs to have breakfast with everyone present, but Izumi noticed that his behavior was very different from usual. He seemed more affectionate, hugging her more often as if he needed her support. She was always willing to help, so she walked with him to school. When they arrived, she felt a protective energy from him whenever other boys looked in her direction. Izumi's quirk provided her with insight they were learning about the world around them. Since Issei had been transformed into a dragon to save his life, he was going through a phase where his instincts were heightened. She was uncertain about how this would affect her, as her body was signaling a longing for companionship, and she wasn't ready for that. Classes were challenging as they sat next to each other, both struggling to focus while their instincts battled for control. It was amusing when they entered the changing room, both breathing heavily as they sensed the presence of the opposite gender nearby. Soon, they entered the gym, where their physical training pushed them to their limits. Issei and Izumi worked together, keeping their minds focused on the discussions they needed to have with the Gremory peerage, ensuring their territory remained safe. During lunch, Issei and Izumi headed to the occult research clubroom to meet Rias and her peerage. Izumi burst through the door, surprising everyone inside. Izumi. Issei. What are you guys doing here? Rias exclaimed, jumping from her chair. Izumi scanned the room and noticed Eri looking at her with a curious expression. Eri-chan, could you ask your friends to leave for a moment? Issei and I need to talk to Rias, she requested. Eri nodded and ushered Akino, Kiba, and Kaneko out of the room. Once they were alone, Izumi turned to Rias. How many times do I have to tell you that Issei and I will not join your peerage, she declared. Rias, looking concerned, replied, I told you before, I need powerful pieces to help me with my problems. Izumi shot back, we just want to live our lives without being forced into your peerage. As Issei watched the exchange, he felt Drake's amusement at the situation. Partner, I can't believe you have a dragoness standing up for you. She will be your mate in the end, I can feel it. Drake laughed. Issei, confused, wondered why Izumi was defending him and why he felt the need to be close to her. You're going through a dragon's instinctual phase, where the longing to mate is strong, Drake explained. I'm surprised you haven't acted on it yet. Issei was trying to keep his instincts in check when he unconsciously placed a hand on Izumi's back, causing her to shiver. Rias noticed this and felt a shift in the atmosphere. I will say this only once, Rias. Stay away from Issei, and leave us alone, Izumi demanded. Rias questioned her claim, to which Izumi responded, before you came here, this territory belonged to Issei. He is a dragon, and your people took over without considering his presence. As they prepared to leave, Izumi overheard Eri's comment from outside the door. It's not my fault that the guy's energy is making me feel a bit flustered. Eri exclaimed. Izumi turned to her with a look of betrayal. Eri-chan, I can explain. Eri stammered, trying to approach Izumi. No. Eri-chan is a pervert. I failed you. Izumi cried out, tears streaming down her face. Issei, deciding to intervene, picked her up and walked away from the situation. Just let her cry it out, she'll be fine by next week, he reassured Eri as they disappeared around the corner. Meanwhile, Rias, still stunned by the scene, contemplated searching Kuo town for traces of draconic presence, realizing that Izumi's claims were valid. Izumi was held securely in Issei's arms as she cried, curled up in a small ball. She didn't realize she was being cradled until Issei gently placed her on his bed. As she looked around, she noticed Issei sitting next to her, removing his shirt. Issei, do you think I would be a good mother? Izumi asked suddenly. I don't know. You seem like a good older sister to me, Issei replied, meeting her gaze. Izumi continued, well, my mother told me that to be a good mother, you need to protect your child without fail. I feel like I failed Eri-chan since she is now acting inappropriately. As they locked eyes, Izumi and Issei slowly leaned closer to each other. Issei placed his forehead against hers and spoke in a calming tone, she will be fine. A little curiosity is normal at her age. Besides, she's 15 and dealing with her hormones. Izumi nodded, feeling comforted by his words. For some reason, she leaned further into his embrace, resting her head against his chest and breathing softly. Looking up at him, she saw Issei looking down at her, and they moved closer together. Issei initiated their first kiss, and it felt electric as their passion grew. Izumi melted into the kiss, placing her hands on his shoulders and leaning back, allowing him to gently position himself above her as they continued. Unbeknownst to them, the door opened, and Mickey peeked in, smiling at the sight before quietly leaving the room and suggesting to Goro that they head to the mall together. As Issei continued to engage with Izumi, he noticed her twitching beneath him, her gaze distant. He looked at her face and leaned in for a kiss, wanting to connect with her in that moment. Unbeknownst to them, there was a subtle change in her appearance, hinting at a significant development as she seemed to carry a secret that would alter their lives. The next morning, Mickey looked into the room and found Issei and Izumi sleeping, with Izumi curled up against him. She smiled at the sight but noticed an unpleasant odor in the room. Deciding to take care of it, she left to grab some air freshener. Issei woke up, trying to piece together the events of the previous night. He remembered Izumi crying on his shoulder and the emotional moment they shared. His face flushed as he recalled her passionate words. Looking to his side, he saw Izumi sleeping peacefully, her adorable features making him smile. He gently rubbed her head, and she yawned cutely, stretching beside him. A magic symbol marked her neck, and she turned to him with a cheerful "Morning. Do you remember what happened last night?" Issei asked, a hint of concern in his voice. "I do, don't worry. I was on the pill," Izumi reassured him, easing his worries about the future. Just then, a loud knock interrupted them. "Issei. You better get downstairs this instant," his father called, causing both Issei and Izumi to exchange worried glances. In the kitchen, Miki was preparing breakfast, hoping to ease the tension in the house. She had seen what her son had been up to with Izumi and felt a mix of happiness and concern. She wanted to protect Issei from potential heartbreak, so she was determined to handle the situation carefully. When Issei and Izumi entered the living room, Miki noticed her husband looking at Issei with disappointment. However, his expression softened when he saw Izumi's worried face. "I know what you two did last night. I just want to know if she's pregnant or not," Goro said, his tone serious. "I'm not pregnant, Mr. Hyoudou. I was on the pill, and I take full responsibility for what happened," Izumi replied, bowing slightly. "Issei, are your feelings for her genuine?" Goro asked, his voice stern. "My feelings for Izumi are true. You can trust me," Issei answered confidently. Before Miki could intervene, Goro struck Issei, causing him to fall to the floor. Izumi rushed to his side, upset. "What is wrong with you? Aren't you his father?" she shouted, pulling Issei away from Goro. Miki rushed in from the kitchen, alarmed. "Goro. What is happening? I know when someone is lying, Miki. Our son is not being honest about his feelings for this girl." Goro exclaimed. "Mr. Hyoudou. I initiated everything last night." Issei was hesitant, and I pushed him further into it. "If anyone should be punished, it should be me." Izumi defended Issei passionately. Goro looked at Izumi, struggling to find a reason to punish her. "I won't punish you, he must have led you astray," he said, turning back to Issei. "Dad. I didn't do anything against her will." Issei protested. "Issei, you are the only one left in this family that I care for deeply. But I will not let you tarnish our name with falsehoods," Goro declared. Izumi stepped in front of Issei, trying to protect him. Goro attempted to strike Issei again, but this time, he accidentally hit Izumi. She stood firm, and Goro winced in pain, realizing the mistake he made. "Please just wait in the living room while I help him calm down," Miki said, pulling Goro out of the room. Back downstairs in the living room, Miki observed Izumi, who appeared to be struggling with her emotions. "Izumi, I need you to tell me about the world you came from. About the life you had before coming here," Miki said gently. Izumi looked away, clearly distressed. I don't know if I can," she replied, her voice trembling. Miki thought to herself that surely it couldn't have been that bad, but she knew understanding Izumi's past was essential for their connection. "I know this is difficult for you, but I need to understand your emotional background," Miki encouraged softly. Izumi took a deep breath and began to share her story. She recounted the betrayal of her childhood best friend, who had mistreated her, and the challenges she faced throughout her school years. She spoke of significant events, including the retirement of All Might and the battle against Josaki Kai, known as Overhaul, where she had fought to save Eri. As she continued, Izumi revealed the pain of losing her mother to cancer when she was young. Tears streamed down her face as she described how deeply that loss affected her. She also shared the heartache of unrequited love for a boy she cherished, who had chosen her best friend over her. The absence of her father, who had left before she was born, added to her feelings of isolation. Miki listened intently, her heart aching for Izumi. When she realized how touch-starved Izumi was, she gently interrupted. "I'm so sorry you had to endure all of that. I have one question that relates to my son's heart," Miki said, looking at Izumi with concern. Izumi met her gaze, knowing what was coming. "Will you love him unconditionally, even if he has his flaws?" Miki asked. At that moment, Issei called out to his mother, surprised by the conversation. "Mom," he exclaimed. Miki turned to him, tears in her eyes. "Mrs. Hyoudou, your son saved my life a month ago," Izumi began, her voice steadying. "He helped nurse me back to health after I fell from the sky. I thought I had broken bones, but it turned out to be just a concussion. Over the past month and a half living here, I've grown to love him. His antics may be a bit unusual, but I had a classmate who was much worse in my world. Issei respects my space and doesn't invade my privacy. I can say with all my heart that I will accept him as he is, flaws and all. Even if he can be a bit annoying, I will love him because that is who he is." As Izumi finished, Miki couldn't help but smile at her. She pulled Izumi into a hug, which initially made her stiffen, but soon Izumi melted into the embrace, crying as she felt the warmth and love she had missed. Issei joined the hug from behind, creating a comforting cocoon of support. Overwhelmed by emotions, Izumi eventually fainted in their arms, feeling the love she had longed for. Goro sat at the table, reflecting on everything he had heard from his wife and son about Izumi's life. He felt a wave of emotion as he listened to her recount the pain of her mother's untimely death, tears welling in his eyes as he realized the depth of her struggles. As she spoke about her childhood friend, who had turned into a bully, Goro was taken aback by the cruelty she had faced. He was particularly struck by her story of meeting her idol, All Might, who had told her to be realistic about her dreams of becoming a hero, fearing for her safety without a quirk. The image of her facing a powerful opponent, only to be overwhelmed, haunted him. However, Izumi's time at UA had brought her some hope, especially when All Might had offered her a chance to become a better hero. Goro observed her emotional turmoil as she recounted a harrowing experience involving a Yakuza raid, where they had tortured a child for her unique ability. As she expressed her frustrations, Goro saw the vulnerable side of her, a young girl grappling with the weight of her experiences. When he finally joined his family at the breakfast table, he sensed the tension in the air. Issei looked at his father, apologizing for not seeking advice about the previous night. Goro reassured him, explaining that he was merely looking out for Izumi. He emphasized the importance of meaningful connections, especially for someone like her. Izumi, confused by the conversation, asked for clarification, revealing her lack of understanding about the significance of her actions. Miki chimed in, explaining that losing her virginity was a sacred moment that should be cherished. Izumi expressed her regret for causing worry, but insisted that she was fully aware of her choices. Goro and Miki exchanged soft glances, acknowledging her maturity. Goro playfully encouraged Issei to hold on to Izumi, while Miki lightly scolded him. Laughter filled the room, and as Izumi and Issei shared a kiss, they felt a sense of relief that the conversation had been resolved. As time passed, Izumi and Issei enjoyed their blossoming relationship. Issei had proven to be a caring partner, showing a transformation from his former self. Their bond grew stronger, and even his friends noticed the positive change in him. Matsuda and Motohama, inspired by Issei, attempted to improve themselves and found success in their own relationships. One evening, as they headed to school to retrieve one of Izumi's notebooks, they were unaware of the challenges that awaited them. Izumi had been working on strategies to face their opponents, but in her haste, she had left her notebook behind. Little did they know, their lives were about to take a dramatic turn. Arriving at the school, Izumi and Issei were met with devastation as Sona Citri's peerage lay injured on the ground. Izumi, determined and brave, ran off with Issei close behind. They had been training together, and Issei had recently unlocked his balance breaker, increasing its power. The scene before them horrified them. Giant creatures were closing in on their prey. Izumi swiftly attacked the first creature she encountered, taking it down with a single blow, drawing the attention of the remaining defenders. Issei followed suit, using a dragon shot to eliminate another creature. Among the chaos stood a woman with striking violet and brown eyes, alongside a man with elf-like features and 10 black wings, who observed them with amusement. Izumi growled as she activated her quirk, while Issei also prepared for battle, his balance breaker manifesting as emerald and red wings emerged from their backs. The woman in front of Kokobile watched in shock as the duo revealed their true forms. Izumi charged at Kokobile, her power surging, with Issei close behind, ready to support her. The woman with violet eyes, Sona Citri, and her companion Tsubaki Shinra were defending Kuo from the fallen cadre, determined to prevent another great war. As Issei attacked Kokobile from behind, the fallen angel retaliated, momentarily trapping him in a dark substance. Issei, fueled by rage, prepared a powerful blast. Ultimate move. Bloody Longinus Smasher. Drake called from the boosted gear. Izumi appeared behind Kokobile, landing a decisive blow that shattered his guard, allowing Issei's attack to hit with full force. Kokobile screamed in pain as his body began to disintegrate. Izumi, not finished yet, powered up to her maximum strength and unleashed her strongest attack. Infinite Blaster, she shouted, her blast colliding with Issei's as Kokobile found himself caught between the two powerful forces. Despite his attempts to defend himself with light beams, his strength was rapidly depleting. You win this day. I will return. Kokobile declared as he was ultimately defeated. As his presence faded, Sona watched in awe as Izumi and Issei stood victorious over the battlefield. They defeated a cadre class being with little effort, Sona remarked, astonished. Be cautious, they could become threats, Tsubaki warned. Sona, realizing the situation, acknowledged her failure to protect the area. If they can keep this place safe, I have no reason to remain in the human world. I must also save Rias from her troubling relationship before it's too late. With that, she gathered her forces and departed. As Izumi and Issei surveyed the damage left behind, they sighed and began to repair the area. Once the repairs were complete, they returned home, taking with them the remnants of Sona's notebook, both feeling a mix of annoyance and determination regarding the supernatural events they had encountered.